we are back from wherever. And it is February, which is Women in Horror Month. And this is the 9th annual Women in Horror Month, is my understanding. So in honor of that, we're going to do a movie that I watched, and I wasn't really planning to do a review on this movie, but I watched it, and I liked it, and it was ridiculous, and I thought, what better time to do it than Women in Horror Month? And the movie, as you all know because you clicked on this link, is called Revenge. It came out in 2017. It is directed by Coralie Fagier. I don't know. It's French name. Now, I'd been aware of this movie for a while, and because I'd seen, I don't know, because I like, it's a Shudder movie. It's a Shudder original movie. And since I like Shudder on Facebook, I am privy to trailers for their original movies, and I saw this one a million times. And it was the weird part, I won't give it away yet, but something happens in the trailer where I'm like, okay, well, that kind of looks, that's the beginning of the movie, that looks like the end of the movie. So I was kind of interested. At the same time, it was like The Getaway. It was that kind of movie where it's like, it's not really, it's kind of, by the name of the movie, it's kind of self-explanatory what the movie's about. It's called Revenge, so it's obviously something happens to a girl. I'm not saying that revenge only it's a girl thing, but I'm saying, like, you can see something happens bad to a girl and then it's called revenge, so obviously she comes back somehow. You just don't know. You don't know the whole gist of what happens to her. Although, well, you do. You just don't know. It's like, how'd she come back from that? Because commercial, I can't believe I'm not spoiling a trailer. It's like, I don't want to spoil the trailer for you. Go look at the trailer. But anyway, it looked okay. I just never got around to watching it. Then a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna watch this movie. And I watched it, and I was so bummed out for the first 5 minutes because I was like, are you kidding me? Because I got all settled in, I got all comfortable, and then they started talking, and they were talking in French. I was like, are you kidding me? Because I've kind of wanted to watch this movie for a long time, and now I'm like, I'm lazy. I don't have anything to do. It's a Sunday. It's like, I'm ready to just, I'm all in. I'm everything but popcorned in. I'm not like at that level. Popcorn's more of an evening thing, and I was about to watch this in the afternoon. And they start talking, and they're talking in French, and there's subtitles. I'm like, plot twist. It's like, I wasn't expecting subtitles. This is I don't want to watch, it's not that I won't watch movies with subtitles. It's like how I feel about found footage films. I want to know in advance, is it going to be found footage? Is it going to be subtitled? Because I can do either, but I got to be in the mood for either. But luckily, the first 5 minutes is subtitled, and they're talking French. The rest of the movie, 98% of the movie, they're talking English. So if you are, like, I don't know, turn this off right now. Well, right now it's too late, but if you decide, it's like, well, I want to watch this movie, that sounds good, and then I'll watch this, and you go to watch it, forewarned, it is subtitled for like the first 5 or 6 minutes, and then they go into talking English. Everybody talks English, and then there's sporadic French talk, but most of the movie is in English, so you don't have to be like some great reader to enjoy this movie. No, but you can do it. That's the thing about subtitles. Like, well, if it's subtitles, that means I have to stare at the screen the whole time. Because sometimes, like, you can do other things while you watch a movie. I like to. I mean, me personally, I do like to give my full attention to the film I'm doing while I'm doing it. But sometimes you just like to have a movie on. And I think originally, in all honesty, I'm not gonna lie. I love when people say that. I'm not gonna lie. I've decided now, for the first time in my life, I'm going to start being honest and tell you that I was going to lay with my eyes closed and listen to the movie, and as exciting things happen, I would open them and be intrigued. But it's a newer movie, so I wasn't planning to review it. But that was how I was feeling. I was like, I'm just gonna watch this, kind of drift into sleep. And if the movie keeps me up, it keeps me up. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. The crazy thing about this movie, crazy and kind of funny, is because I wrote down. I have note cards that I'm going to read you. Because last week when I read, I don't know, I got such a good response out of my reading that I was like, wow, people like this. I'm gonna read them. But I wrote these down because they were kind of funny to me. And this is the segue to the review. And so here we go. The first one I wrote down was the revenge synopsis. Never take your mistress on an annual guy's getaway, especially one devoted to hunting. A violent lesson for 3 wealthy married men. The next one was, Jen is enjoying a romantic getaway with her wealthy boyfriend, which is suddenly disrupted when his sleazy friends arrive for an unannounced hunting trip. And the third one, 3 wealthy married men get together for their annual hunting trip, or hunting game in a desert canyon. One of them is accompanied by his young mistress, a sexy Lolita, who quickly arouses the interest of the 2 others, and things get dramatically out of hand. Don't those kind of sound like 3 drastically different descriptions of the same movie? Where, like, if it's an annual trip, then and it was planned. It was this, it was that. But I have my own version of this movie. And what made me laugh and what made this movie fun to me. And that is, I don't know, take yourself back. Take yourself back to, like, I don't know, when you're like in high school. And hopefully you met this person. Because if you haven't met this person, as the old saying goes, if you haven't met this person, chances are you are that person. But it's the you don't have to lie to kick it guy. The person who says whatever weird elaborate story to get the gang of friends. You know, he's the new guy. I want them to like me. I want to be accepted. So I'm going to tell this ridiculous story that in the end, I look good. I don't know if everybody has met that person. I know that I've met a person. I'm not going to say the person's name, even though I don't talk to him anymore. And even though people from that era that would know him probably wouldn't watch this, so I will throw out some keywords, some key details. It involved a sports car. It involved being chased by skinheads in Arizona. And it involved an automatic door that stalled when it should have opened. And the protagonist of the story went through the door. None of my friends and I believed any of the story for a minute. But it was that situation where it's like, if we don't call this guy on his bullshit, does that mean we're being nice? Or does he think we're idiots? Does he think, I don't know. But anyway, this story, to me, this girl, Jen, is like a female version of my friend, who I won't name. Except Jen is not in high school and should not be trying that hard. I mean, she's old enough. But anyway, Jen is a beautiful, I don't know, I think she's like an aspiring actress or model. She's trying to go to LA, or living in LA, new to LA. LA's expensive. And she's hooked up with this rich guy, but the rich guy is married. So I'm imagining her telling this story like to her friends later, and that's how the rest of this synopsis is gonna go. I'm gonna tell it through Jen's eyes. I'm gonna look at this group of friends who I want to accept me and say, yeah, I met this guy, he was really cool, he was rich, we got in his helicopter, we flew out to this desert, and had sex. He's married, but I was kind of like, he's got money, he's gonna help me with my acting career. Then the next day, these 2 creepy guys showed up, and it turns out these 2 creepy guys are his friends, and they're at the window waiting to get in, and they get in, and turns out they're pretty cool. They're kind of creepy, but they're cool. So we all hang out, and the next day, Richard, that guy I'm seeing, he goes out for the day, and it's just me and Dimitri and Stan, his two friends. But Stan, I don't know what Stan's deal is, because he was like into me, but I wasn't into him, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But then he got really aggressive, and he raped me. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm ready to get out of here. And Richard got back. I was like, Richard, get me out of here. And Richard didn't understand, but eventually he did. But instead of like telling his friends off, he was like, I don't know. Well, we're supposed to go hunting. And I was like, Richard, I need to go now. You need to call that helicopter. And we're all outside, and he finally called the helicopter. And then right after he did, he pushed me off a cliff. And I dropped like 200 feet, and I landed on like a tree root. And it went right through my stomach, all the way through, and I was impaled. And I was like, it went all the way through me. But luckily it did, because if it hadn't, I would have hit the ground and splatted. But that tree root saved my life. It took away the impact, because by the time I got down enough on it, even though there was only a little, that much sticking out of me, it still broke my fall to the point where I was still alive. I passed out from the pain, but then I woke up, and I was on it still, and I looked up, and I could see the top of the cliff, and I couldn't move. But then I could somehow see my lighter and my earbuds, and I reached over, and I kind of lassoed with the earbuds. I lassoed my lighter over. Took a long time. It took like 3 seconds and one try. And I got him close to me, and then I flicked it, and I lit the bottom of the tree root on fire, and it went up pretty much instantly. And it burned until it broke enough, and then I tumbled off of it, and I was alive, and I was free. But then I was worried, because they might still be up there, and they might look down, and they might notice that I'm not there anymore. And if they notice I'm not there anymore, they're going to know that I'm not dead, and then they're going to come after me. Because before, it was inconvenient that I was around. Now it's attempted murder. I mean, we've gone from rape to attempted murder to, I think she's gone, and they're going to go hunting anyway. So I snuck off somehow, even though I had a huge hole. I didn't have a hole in my stomach, though, because the tree root was still in there. I hadn't pulled it out yet. So I went, but at some point, I guess they looked and saw that I was gone, because they started hunting me. So I made a break for it, and night came. And Dimitri came and found me, and I managed to overpower him, and I stabbed him in the eye with his own knife. And then I took his bag of supplies and stuff, and I went and I hid in a cave. And I found this, he had a can of beer, this Mexican beer in his little satchel. So I opened it and I drank about half of it. And then I remembered the peyote we had at the party earlier that they told me. They were like, put this in a safe place because this can get dangerous. But they talked about how it blocked out pain. So I was laying there. I decided, fuck this beer. I'm going to take this peyote and I'm going to get this root out of my stomach. And so I ate the peyote, and then I took the beer. I drank some and I poured the rest out, and I cut it open and I laid it flat. And then when the peyote kicked in, I pulled the root out of my stomach, and then I held the flattened can that I unrolled. I held that over the fire till it was molten hot. Then I pressed it against my stomach to cauterize the wound. Even though I only did it on the front, it somehow cauterized both sides. But then I was okay again. And the next morning, well, I had some weird dreams, I'm not gonna lie. Once again, not gonna lie. And then the next day, I went out and tried to make a break for it. And that's when Stan found me, and he was chasing me. And so I took the lens of my flashlight and I broke it against a rock. And with the broken piece, I put it down where I knew he would step. And as he chased me, because he was barefooted, he stepped on it and it almost sliced like half of his foot off. It was such a deep wound. And then he couldn't chase me as much anymore because he was barefooted. And I kept running, and eventually, I don't remember how he died, but eventually I got back to the house, and it was just me and Richard both had guns, and Richard was hunting me. and I was trying to hide, but I was trying to kill him because I knew I had to get out of there somehow, and I had to kill Richard to do it. And so Richard came in, and I shot him, and there was so much blood, and blood poured out everywhere, and he kept coming after me, and then eventually I shot him and I killed him. And that happened to me a few weeks ago, last summer. Yeah. And this is the lie. This is the elaborate lie that somebody would say and be like, yeah, it's all true. But it makes sense. Like, if you've seen the movie and you see how ridiculous the things that happen, like, it makes it kind of not so bad how much blood there is in the end scene when her and Richard are going after each other. Because I remember watching it the first time, I was like, why is there that much blood? There's so much blood that at one point she tries to get away from him, she slips. There's so much that she's like she's like Bambi on ice, like she cannot get back up. There's so much blood. Meanwhile, he can still walk around. It's like, wow, you lost like 10 gallons of blood and you're still able to walk around and aim a gun. And it's like, this is ridiculous. A lot of stuff in this movie is ridiculous, but then it's like, it's not that ridiculous if you imagine it's like somebody telling you the story, like they're lying to you, trying to tell you, and they're exaggerating. It's like, what really happened? I can't even think of a good of what really happened. But it's like this movie's asking a lot. Not bad. The breakaway point kind of becomes like, because the movie looks awesome. Like the cinematography looks, it's great. It's a very beautiful movie. Visually, it's awesome to watch. You just watch it and you're like, wow. And it's got what they call micro camera. I don't know what it's called. But anyway, there were parts where like it was zoomed in on insects on the ground, and then like a drop of blood would splash near it, and like the sand would blow up. And it's like it had little things in that like that where it's like, wow. This movie looks amazing, but the storyline's not great. And it's not. It doesn't even have like a humor in there to tie it together. But it is kind of. It's pretty much like. It's like, I'm going to buy a really expensive camera and get a bunch of filters so I can take a picture of your ugly kid. It's like, your kid's still ugly. It's like, there's not a lot I can do about it. But visually, the movie, it looks great. But it does that weird thing that a lot of movies do where, like, somehow, and I hate that because I really got to tread lightly on the topic of rape, but it's like there's a lot of rape revenge movies where like being raped suddenly leads to superpowers, whereas like it woke her from this sleep, like she's a sleep agent, where she's the Bourne Identity, where now all of a sudden she knows how to do all this shit. She was this ditzy actress, blonde chick, not blonde, she's not blonde, but you know what I mean. And she's trying to make a career in Hollywood, but she doesn't have the money, so she's hanging out with this guy. He's his little trophy. He gives her money and he takes her out there, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got raped, and then they tried to kill me. It's like suddenly now I am a marksman and I'm fluent. I can use knives well, and I went to medical school. I know how to cauterize a wound. I know how to. It's like just doing all this stuff. It's like nobody would think about that, or nobody would figure any of that out. You don't just get superpowers because something bad happened to you. But most women in movies, they're like, oh, every time there's a conflict, it's like, oh, that was bad. That sucks. I don't know how to do anything. And then suddenly they're like. It's like they can will it to happen. That is the thing where it's like when a guy gets sand kicked in his face, he's like, oh yeah, he gets his ass kicked in the beginning of the movie, and then the whole movie's about him getting better and has montages of him like training, and then eventually he wins. But with girls, it's like they just wake up the next day and they're like, hey, oh, so that's how you shoot a gun. Oh, so this is how they just magically know stuff. And I'm okay with it sometimes, but there gets to be a point, like especially compared to this, like I Spit on Her Grave totally looks plausible. Everything she did, like already, I Spit on Her Grave looks like it's like, her what she did for revenge, she could have done that. That's realistic. Some of it was like, I don't know, the odds of that happening. But if you watch this and then go watch I Spit on Her Grave again, it's like, oh yeah, Jennifer Hills could have easily done that stuff. That's easy compared to like what this chick was doing. Like stuff this chick was doing is like people trained for years to be able to do that. And you're just like, hey, I'm just angry and I want to survive, so I just magically know how to do all that. All right, am I beating a dead horse yet? The Badass Award goes to Jen for getting raped and turning into the Bourne Identity. And hey, her name's Jen, short for Jennifer. Like Jennifer Hills from I Spit on Your Grave. What did we learn? Survival tips! Don't hook up with married men. Don't stand on the edge of a cliff near people who are pissed at you. Don't take a trip to the middle of nowhere with someone you don't really even know.